Hey, my creative friends. It is that time to talk about creativity. I'm Shannon from shannonstudio.com, and I talk about things that are creative that will help our regular lives so that in turn it helps our creative lives. And really they're one and the same, but sometimes we have to address specific things in outside of creativity so that it aids in creativity. So that's what we do here. And my daughter called just about 10 minutes ago. One of my daughters. I have 5 daughters. But one of my daughters, Jessie, called, and they're living in our house in America while we are in Sweden. So we're going to be in Sweden for 2 years. So she's in our house. Hi, Trisha. So Jessie's living in our house, and she called just before, like 10 minutes ago. And what was so funny is that she called while she was in part of the studio space downstairs. So at this point in my life, all of our big kids are gone. I actually could take over the whole basement and make it my studio, and it is beautiful. And she was down there, and she had a question about paintbrushes to use when she's going to do some watercolors. So, which is so funny because today we're going to talk about our last home management section, and it is about a craft area or craft room, and just talking about that a little bit. So I thought, how apropos is that she calls right when I'm thinking about it. And so I asked her opinion on a couple of things that I'll be sharing today. Let's see, today, nothing I think out of the ordinary today. I'm trying to think what happened today. Nothing. Is today Monday? Yeah, today's Monday. I don't even know the day. Oh, so we had family home evening tonight. Family home evening is where we take an evening every week and we dedicate it to family, or not the whole evening maybe, but some good time in the evening where we dedicate time to spend with each other, and we talk about our beliefs. We have fun, like, we make things, we eat things, because there's always a treat involved. So, and tonight Joseph set up the treat stuff beforehand because he wanted candy and ice cream. And he found out the gummy bears get very hard in ice cream because I could hear him crunching. Anyways, so that's the only thing really I did today. Oh, I did turn in a little artwork piece for a contest, and they paint and, no, that's not it. They draw and travel. There's a brother-sister team, and I've mentioned before, they have 3 websites. They draw and travel, they draw and cook, and they draw and garden. And they have contests periodically, sometimes for money, sometimes not. Just one of those things, if like the video we talked about deadlines, they would be a great one if you want to have some fun with your art, low pressure, where you just want to experiment. Hey, Erica. I'm just talking about the creative, they draw and travel. So that's what I did. They draw and travel one. This one actually is a contest with a prize. The other one I did was just for fun. And so you can do either way, professionally or amateur, and it's great to see, to see a project from beginning to end, to see where your style might be, to see what you would come up with when somebody else gives you a prompt. So I would recommend it because I think it's, and they're very, I think it's fun, and they are very open to your own interpretation of ideas. So for instance, like today, I was looking through the submissions for They Paint and Travel, and there were all kinds of styles, all kinds, but one of them was very floral, and it wasn't a map per se, in the traditional sense. And so, it doesn't matter because they're very open. They leave it quite open for you to interpret it the way you want to. And there were like, she had I think it was she had a lot of likes. A lot of people liked it and stuff. So you don't have to necessarily do it just exactly like a map. So check it out. You might find that interesting and fun to look at. And let's see, let's get into the topic tonight. So everything we've talked about this week is basically like organizing, getting rid of stuff, and processes that we go through to be able to do, to be able to streamline the process. And so, we've talked a lot about that. But one thing, in our Marie Kondo, is it Kondo? in our, get rid of everything unless it brings you joy. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying, for me, there's a couple things in there that I go, well, just because it doesn't cause me joy, doesn't mean it doesn't cause my husband joy. I would love to get rid of some of his stuff. I mean, you know what I mean? If you're talking about if it brings me joy, a lot of the things my kids would like don't bring me joy. I mean, my husband and I have had things where we go, I'm like, oh, that just, and he's like, I love this. And so, yeah, so that's kind of a caveat that I kind of go, how do you necessarily work it out? And I read part of her book where she talks about she came home from school every day and just cleaned and cleaned and cleaned. She had something every day she was going to clean. And I'm like, girl, that is not normal. I mean, I did unnormal things like that too, like color coding my calendar and stuff like that. So we all have things that we do, but yeah, I can totally see why she is very much into simplicity. If you're going to clean like that, then you need to simplify things. Some of us are a little less so. And then also I thought about, what do you do when you have a craft room? Like, I have a boatload of stuff. And in fact, when we came over here to Sweden and when I went to Amman, Jordan, I packed more crafting and art and sewing supplies than I did clothes. That's who I am. That's where I'm at. So I was thinking about that, what does that mean and how does that work out? And so I was coming across things and I came across this quote from the book Joyful. And I thought it was so interesting. It makes so much sense. And it also makes sense with the dichotomy you see in a creative person. So here's the quote. Research shows we're attracted to environments with a moderately high degree of complexity, but only if that complexity is well structured. The greater the complexity in an environment, the greater the need for underlying harmony to bring a sense of order and ease to the space. Because of this, harmony can be a vital complement to an abundance aesthetic. So an abundance aesthetic reads to me, you got a lot of stuff. So for me, who I've done every craft just about imaginable, and so I would buy the supplies and the scrapbooking, the scrapbook cutter, the jewelry making, the craft. I mean, I've got all that stuff, all the tools. So it's not like I want to get rid of them. And so this to me really made sense, that if you're going to have that kind of complexity, you really need to organize it. You really need to in a way where you don't walk into the room and go, oh, overwhelmed, I can't even deal. And that's kind of what I have done in my room. There's two things. And when I was talking to Jesse, I'll go back to Jesse in a minute. But one of the things for me is when you're crafting, you don't want to get something out, take the lid off, get it out the packages and put it back in and slide it in. To do it that way, that's fine. You have to work with the space you have. But if you have an ideal world, which sometimes we have to just create our ideal world. If I said one thing that would make organizing your craft stuff, I would say Cubbies. And I want to see, I forgot to look if I have a picture of our cubby on any of my socials. So the Cubbies, like I described before, where it's the old school Cubbies where they have the slots and they have the rows of slots, and it is so great. I made one and I think the boxes were 6-inch deep and 8-inch wide, or the other way around, 8-inch deep and 6-inch wide. I can't remember. And I think there's like 50 because it sits on top of a table, and that holds so much stuff. And then there's 2 drawers on the table, and I mean, I could not believe how much that holds. If you have some stuff and you want to organize, you can make bigger Cubbies, smaller Cubbies. I would invest in something like that because those old school people knew what they were doing when they made those and designed those. And so the idea is that you organize it and be able to. Now, Jessie said when I asked her, I said, I'm going to talk about this tonight. So funny because she was going in there to do some watercolor. And I said, well, how do you feel about just walking into a place that's already set up to do those things. And she made some good observations I'm going to share. She said it makes it really easy to just walk in there and do it and not have to set it up. She also said that she's more creative and would sit down playing the piano more than she would do watercolor and painting and stuff. She just wouldn't do it. So having it set up means that she's willing to try because she doesn't have to put in that much effort. So making your craft area easy. Things organized, things easy, so that you can just go in, do it, and come out. Also, because she likes the piano so much and that was set up, that she is trying new things. She's trying new things because it's already there, it's already set up. And so that's something, too, that helps in your creativity, is to try some different things you don't normally do. Let's see. Also, you can dedicate certain areas or certain cabinets, like old, what is it called? Like the old TV cabinets where they were the big TVs, and so you had the doors, and so we have a few of those. It's like, or the old computer cabinets as well, where that was the pull-out drawer and stuff. So for me, I took one of the old, our old computer things, because you don't have huge computers like you used to, and it has a pull-out drawer, so I use that for the shipping station in my business at home, where I put all the shipping supplies, tissue paper, bags, tape, envelopes, everything, and then I can slide that out, wrap whatever I need to do, and it all goes in there. Then another cupboard we have is I put it in all the wrapping paper stuff, in like the plastic tablecloths and little decoration things like that. And so all of that goes in. So it's like I want something, when I'm in America, I know exactly where it is. And I notice that my kids know too, because a lot of times I'll go back and it's not quite put away, but I know that they know where it is to go to do it. So it's just kind of, and another thing Jessie said, she said, I really like how you've organized your space by purpose. Just like I said, the shipping cabinet, the wrapping paper cabinet, I have different things where the jewelry, the scrapbooking, the painting, they have different places, the sewing, the office stuff, the reading. So there's a place, and it's organized by how I would use the space. Because once I sit down, I don't want to get up and go find something. So once you sit down to whatever given thing you want to do, have everything there. So especially when you have kids, you do not have time. They go running around to find everything. It's just like, have all your stuff in a space. So then she also said, I liked how she said you organized by purpose and by color. And what the color meant was, like, all my curly ribbons are in, color, and all my sewing ribbons are done by color. And the thread is done by color, the fabric's done by color, the paint's done by color. So when I'm doing a project, it's find things super easy. It's like I don't have to break my flow of creativity to go find something, because that is exactly what happens. You get in this flow and things are going, and the minute you have to find something, you become frustrated, you break your flow, and those kinds of things. So that's one of the reasons why when we organize, is that when we're actually in creative mode, it keeps us in creative mode. I mean, it's precious to be there in the first place with all your other responsibilities. It's so fortunate that you get to be there, so make the most of it. Two things also is that to organize something, I've gone through so many organization systems that that will work for me, and that's where you have to know what will work for you. How, and I keep stressing this all week long, I know, but you are unique and you have a way that pleases you, so work with that. Yeah, I'm all for Cubbies, but if Cubbies don't work for you, don't even do that. I'm just saying they hold a boatload of stuff. So find what works for you. There's all kinds of storage things. The less steps you have to take for anything storage-wise, the better. And know your habits. Know your habits and talk to people about what works for storage. And let's see. Here's one of the things that I don't think we realize when we go to organize cleaning, setting up routines and spaces and systems and everything else takes so much time. And when I was talking to Jessie, she said, yeah, we lived somewhere, and she was just talking to somebody else. They've lived in their place for 3 years, haven't unpacked some of the boxes. Jessie, same thing, us, same thing, because it takes so much time and energy to unpack and to do that, which we don't allocate for that to happen. We don't allocate the time or the manpower because we've got to jump right back into life. And that's something I've learned, that if you can get people to help you organize after you get there, then that is huge. We had a lot of kids, so that was our organizing force. But still, if you can take a couple days to a couple weeks, depending on how much, not a couple weeks, a week, depending on how much stuff you have, to have 2 or 3 people come in and then help you move things and get them in the right places and set up, that would be bonus and get you set up right away. So here's a quote from Andrew Miller that says, being organized isn't about getting rid of everything you own or trying to become a different person. I like that. That's like, you're not supposed to become a different person. I think that happens a lot. We see something and it's shiny and new kind of syndrome, and we go, oh, I got to do that. Yet it doesn't fit us at all. Okay, let me start over with the quote. Being organized isn't about getting rid of everything you own or trying to become a different person. It's about living the way you want to live, but better. I thought that quote was just great. So that is our quote. That is our tip today, to be able to set up a craft space. And I'm going to talk more about studio spaces later, but I just wanted to kind of put this into our home management and getting things set up to give you a few tips so that you can kind of work at setting things up, because I think we're going to go into doing some creativity things and actually hands-on things at the beginning of the year. But I want to give like a big lead up, because I know the struggle to try to find time, to try to find the energy, to be in the right headspace, to be able to create. And sometimes people just don't know how to get there, and I definitely know how to get there. So I thought I'd do these, take us along, get us set up, and because art making, any kind of creative thing, starts way before you actually sit down and do it. So remember, you have a creative heartbeat, so listen for it. It's super important in your life. It's been super important in my life. And I will be back tomorrow so we can talk some more. And I think we're going to switch topics. We have some really good topics this week. So I will see you tomorrow.